I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
You're 3-4 wide going through it again. So it is so much fun here in the Silver Crown cars. These cars actually make this track fun.
Yeah, let me kick the intro back off again since the buttons weren't working. My name's Chris Graham. That was Patrick Byrne. You heard the second half of his thoughts on the Silver Crowns. The cars are freaking outstanding. We're at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's pick up a guy on the big box here. Haven't seen in a handful of seasons, but he's back. Wayne Hutchison tonight, operating car number 5. Good to see Wayne back out here in the Silver Crowns. And let's take a look, see who else we want to put up on the screen for you. As qualifications are underway, Derek Love going to be your quick timer at a lap time of 30.533, 174.366 miles per hour. Wayne Hutchison's second quick right now. Laura Gerhardt, Thomas Lewandowski, and it's going to be Brian Elmore in the top 5. How about, Patrick, I believe 44 cars on the entry list? Oh, and D. Love, top of the charts. Garrett Hess, second quick. Wow. Oh, and Lewandowski goes fastest lap. Good Lord. Anyway,
Yeah,
go ahead.
We're getting back to the Silver Crown numbers from a couple of seasons ago where we were getting 2 and 3 splits each and every week, which is freaking awesome. I remember for years everyone on the iRacing platform would say, oh, that's a dead series, nobody runs those cars. Clearly people run these cars, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I am absolutely thrilled that we get to see these cars out here again on our airwaves. It's just something about the Silver Crowns. They're just fun. Everything about them. They're a fun watch. They're a fun drive. And really, they're an interesting car. In fact, give me 1 second here, and we'll pull up the information on them. They last received a major update from iRacing several seasons ago, but Oh, good Lord. Built by CNR. These are basically Silver Crown cars that they put a bunch of extra bodywork on. They're making 819 horsepower, and it's a direct drive transmission, so you better get the thing moving. It doesn't like to roll out of the pit road very well, but my God, are these things quick.
These things were basically when USAC and kart split. USAC went its own route, kart went its own route. Kart turned into the modern Indy cars we know today. And these Silver Crowns are probably what they would have been if the Indy cars never grew wings on them.
Yeah, it's probably not that far off. It was the Silver Crown, the transmission of the era, and those cars at the time, the ones that ran on the dirt even, had the ability. They had onboard starters. They had 2 gears in them. Now, this series was in existence for, I guess, 2.5 years or so. And it just kind of petered out because, quite frankly, it was really expensive and so incredibly dangerous. 180 mile an hour in a tube frame open cockpit car at a place. I mean, they ran Chicagoland Speedway. In fact, they ran Darlington in the real world.
They followed the IndyCar schedule.
It followed the IndyCar schedule and ran a handful of NASCAR races as well, which, like I said, just absolutely terrifying.
These things don't have mirrors on them either. You have no idea what's behind you. It's like running a sprint car at 180, 190 miles an hour. It's amazing. I don't think there were any fatalities in this series, which honestly isn't a testament to the safety of the cars, just the fact that they didn't crash them very often.
Yeah, I was going to say that that's very much more a testament to the drivers. They knew what they were getting into, and it was impressive what they were able to do with these cars. And quite frankly, put on some pretty good shows as well. But let's take a look. I don't see any of our real... We had a couple of real-world drivers that drove these cars. Manuel Paredes drove this car in the real world and competed in this series for a handful of years. But cars are getting out on to the starting grid. Let's get ready to show you tonight's starting lineup. On the pole, look at that. Love the throwback Johns Manville looking scheme there of the number 2 of Thomas Lewandowski. 174.953 miles per hour. Lap time record for car number 2. Good qualifying run for Josh Batista, only 64 thousandths of a second back at a 30.495. He'll line up on the outside of row number 1. Row 2 will have Laura Gerhardt lining up alongside the number 1 of Derek Love. Row 3, Garrett Hess and Wayne Hutchison. Row 4, Brandon Buchberger and James Watson. Row 5, Brian Elmore and Jeffrey Stanton in the number 27. Starting on row number 6 will be Zach Nurnberger alongside Ian Lane. You're still talking just barely over a quarter of a second separating your top 12. On row number 7 will be Wes Shire and the number 16 of Jason Steinhurst. Row 8, Ben Carswell and Ezekiel Reyes. Row 9, Mike Barry and J.W. Miller. Row number 10 will have Stephen C. Thompson and Brett Edwards. And one car not making the start tonight. That's going to be Jay Dorr in the 22nd position. But Steve Costley will roll off as the last starter here this evening. About 3/4 of a second back, starting on the inside of row number 11. Taking a look at the weather conditions for tonight's race. 80-degree air temperature, 102-degree track temp. I'll tell you what, Bizzle, that really can make these things tough because they want to slide around a little bit to begin with. Cross that 100-degree mark, and you're going to get a little bit extra slidey in these cars.
Yeah, these cars are slidey regardless, but definitely track temp gets above 100 degrees, and it's like driving on ice with almost 1,000 horsepower cars. It is incredible.
1.5 miles, 18 to 20 degrees of progressive banking in the corners. This place has seen more configurations than Madonna's face. They're off at turn number 4. Green flags in the air. We're underway in the Crowns at Homestead. Man alive, are these things quick to get around this place. Lap 1 is in the books, and it will be Thomas Lewandowski. He's got a good battle going on with Josh Batista, just back behind a little bit. Another good battle shaping up here on the racetrack. Let's bring you up this one in the side-by-side box. James Watson just ahead. Let's see. Watson just ahead of Derek Love, Brandon Buchberger, and Jeffrey Stanton. Car down on the inside of the racetrack. I believe that's going to be the 10 of Brian Elmore as Thomas Lewandowski goes fastest lap, up over 172 miles per hour. One of the things about this place, Patrick, is very setup dependent, and especially these race cars. Very setup dependent. It is really easy to burn the right rear off of these cars, and we're going to see these drivers hunting for grip at various points around the racetrack.
Yeah, tire management is key. When I was racing these in bottom split, that was something that very few drivers down there had figured out. So it was pretty much easy wins for me coming from driving the car tomorrow in the Gen 6 Cup car, where tire management is the whole key to the game. As soon as I moved up the top split, though, these guys were eating away at me, and I went from a first place every single week bottom split driver to 21st place every single week top split driver.
It's funny how those things will happen when you develop some talent here. Show you this battle full screen, because this is what we talked about. 18 to 20 degrees of banking means as the higher you get on the racetrack, the more banking you're going to get. That really allows these cars to search. You can find grip. It's not like you're at a Daytona or a Talladega where it's, 34, 36, whatever degrees of banking. That's straight up the racetrack. This is kind of bowl-shaped, and it really lets you pick and choose your line where you think your car is going to be fastest.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love when tracks do this. When Riverhead Raceway reconfigured, they reconfigured with the progressive banking, and when the Tour Modified guys come down there, they run 3-wire on that little quarter-mile oval because the top line is just so much more banked than the bottom. It's just as fast.
FRS Drake saying, at what point do you consider the driver part of the aero package? Yes.
I absolutely would in these things. If you have a stature similar to that of a horse jockey, you'd probably be an excellent fit for these cars. However, if you just got out of a career in the NBA, these things might not be for you.
No, you don't want your head sticking out the top of the roll cage. Interesting question here we're getting from 90210. We'll get the first part of it up here first. So, what Ford team has a seat for Danny Rick at COTA? Seeing that Red Bull signed with Ford, and he's not even their first reserve driver.
Oh, which Ford
Could
team?
you imagine? It would be Stewart Haas. It would absolutely be Stewart Haas if they were to field an extra car.
But it's not going to be Stewart Haas. It would be, wouldn't it be Rick Ware? Rick Ware Racing? Because they already have, I can't think of his name. The other F1 driver. He was big in, like, the 2010s. I can't think of his name for some reason.
I'm just going to let you sit in your own failure over there.
Ah, he won with Braun? No, it's not Mark Webber. Is it Mark Webber?
Jensen Button.
Jensen Button, there we go.
Oh my God. Following this great battle for fifth between Brandon Buchberger and Jeffrey Stanton. By the way, we will be keeping a separate broadcast championship points tally here, and this one is based on the USAC Championships point standings that they'll be running this season. So 70 points to the winner. It's a sliding scale back down to 13 points for the 30th position, and 3 bonus points on offer for pole position and 3 for leading the most laps. Right now, that's going to be Thomas Lewandowski, who's led every one of them here at the front of the field. I think James Watson is finally able to get down to the bottom side of the racetrack. He was talking about that in the pre-race, that he felt like his car really worked the bottom well.
Yeah, and from racing with James, he usually likes the bottom regardless. No matter where he is, he's always faster on the bottom than the top. Some guys just have a hard time figuring out the top line because your entry and exit markers are so much different running the top line, where you have to get on the power and off the power. It's a whole different train of thought, and doing that being a quarter inch off the wall, so.
Yeah, that's the hard part, I would imagine, is working out how you're going to make all of those, the markers work. Because the high line around this place is basically turn the steering wheel just a hair, and there is almost no lift at corner entry. So you've got to be visually spotting your mark and just hitting that every time.
Yeah, and these cars are very similar to driving a stock car. In fact, they have almost no downforce, and you have to start turning the wheel before you even get to the quarter, because there's going to be a considerable delay from when you start turning the wheel and when the car actually starts turning, which is super difficult to just get in your head that you need to do.
And actually, let's take a look here. We can go on board the cockpit cam with Mr. Watson.
Now you'll notice, since these things are so similar to a sprint car, you cannot actually see the steering wheel. The steering wheel is mounted down below in the nether regions of the driver. So it's really an uncomfortable sitting position, almost like driving a bus the way you have to drive these things.
Right, you're very much sitting upright, and the wheel is kind of in front of you, almost like you said, like school bus fashion. That's kind of difficult around a place like this, because you really want to kind of lean into the turn, and it's just not there.
And you had to have big cojones to drive these things, because the transmission was right in between your legs. You were sitting on top of the transmission, and the pedals, you don't push them forward in these cars. Very much like a midget or a sprint car, you actually push the pedals down towards the floor. So it's a very, very awkward car to try and sit in and drive.
I love the Silver Crown cars. iRacing, for the love of God, please give us the real world Silver Crown cars of today. The fat bottom girls of the USAC division. 358 cubic inches of all American iron.
The first time I ever saw Silver Crowns was at the Carb Night Classic. That was the Carb Day Classic. It got postponed. And I got to the track late, so they were already 9 laps into the Silver Crown race, and I'm starting to walk up the stands. Before I could even find a seat, Silver Crown car goes flipping and catching the catch fence the whole way down the front straightaway, and all I could think was, holy crap, these are the coolest things I've ever seen.
They're a thing of beauty. They really are. Especially when you get a guy like Cody Swanson behind the wheel of the pavement cars. Oh my goodness. Just
Cody
an
Swanson
absolute rocket.
Cody Swanson won that race. He then followed it up by winning the midget race that was shortly after. And then that same night, since it was the Carb Day Classic, almost won the Little 500. Almost went for all 3 in one day. So he is one hell of a driver.
Yeah, a guy who I can't believe has not been in an NTT IndyCar yet. It's disturbing, quite frankly. Working lap number 19 of 65. It's all Thomas Lewandowski at the head of the field by 1.1 seconds over Josh Batista. Let's slide up here, because there you go. You see Derek Love running inside of Laura Gerhardt. Good run for that number 13 machine up on the outside of the racetrack. Man, Buchberger taking a peek inside, though.
the craziest thing about Cody Swanson is he is not a professional racer.
Oh, big contact! Oh my goodness, Brandon Buchberger, wild ride down the front straightaway. We are under caution at lap number 20.
Oh, man.
We will be going on board for that Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay.
Yeah, I was seeing that. It's really a wonder we never killed anybody racing these.
It really is. Let's give you first a look at the incident itself here on the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. Buchberger, little bit of a twitch, big up into the outside wall, and then a tumbling, he goes, multiple cars making contact. Not the way the defending champ wanted to have this season go.
It's only the first race. There's drop weeks for a reason.
In the officials, yes, there's drop weeks. Not in our broadcast championship.
Oh, man.
Let's take a look and go on board here. There's the twitch, the contact.
Just out of nowhere, there was a car there, and now he's flipping. I sure hope he does not use a VR headset, because I would definitely be getting him a paper bag right now.
Yeah, tough break for Brandon Buchberger. That will be the end of his night. Let's see. Looks like possibly may have Brian Elmore. Interesting here. Take a look what Josh Batista is doing. He's down on the pit access road. That's about the coolest pavement you're going to find here. That's a great way to get these tires cooled off.
Just cooling the tires off down there, and it works. You'll shave about 10 degrees off them, which will definitely help you on the restart. It allows the car to hook up a little better, although with the single-speed transmission that's modeled at iRacing, you're not really worried about spinning the tires, but especially going in the turn one, you can push it a little bit harder.
You almost wonder, does it make the heat cycling a little bit worse? Only because you're going from full hot to, like, really cool?
No, it's only like a 10-degree difference. It's not a major difference. The biggest difference you're going to feel is just going into turn one. You'll have a little bit more confidence till the tires come up to temp.
That was almost as many flips as Ryan Newman.
Oh, man.
Wow. Which time?
Yeah.
He had a few that were just absolutely massive. Let's see who we might want to talk to as we are under the caution flag here. Actually, let's see if we can talk to Josh Batista. All right, Josh, we see you down here on the warm-up lane. Interesting that I guess you're trying to cool the tires off. Is it going to make that much of a difference?
No, actually, I honestly made a mistake and didn't put enough fuel into the goddamn thing, so I'm trying to save as much fuel as I can.
Oh!
That sucks. Yeah, and I guess at this point, well, I guess it's early enough you could consider pitting for fuel. A little bit anyway, but that's all. This is a tough field to try to work your way through.
Yeah, that's the thing, so I'm going to try and roll the dice here and see if I can save enough here. I'm around half a gallon short, so I think I should be able to save enough throughout the race.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck the rest of the way here. We'll be keeping an eye on that storyline as it develops. Thanks for checking in with us.
Alrighty, thank you.
Well, I want to go back to Cody Swanson for just a second. The most impressive thing about him to me is he's not a professional race car driver. He's not a full-time race car driver. He works a full-time job during the week and just goes and races when he can on the weekends. Works on the car himself, brings it out to the racetrack, and goes and races and kicks ass. Just all natural talent out of him. It's not simulator time. It's not anything that some of the posh top-level drivers get. He is as grassroots as they come.
Yeah, shows up to work every day, hops in the truck, hooks up the trailer, and off he goes to the racetrack. Keep your eye on him. He'll be around the country at various points this season as part of the 500 Sprint Tour Those events run mostly across the Midwest, but they do get into the Southeast a little bit as well. We got to get them up to like Wall Speedway or something up here in Jersey. That would be...
Riverhead would be an awesome track. Riverhead would be almost like an analog to Anderson that they run the big race, the Little 500 at. So that'd be a great track to see him at.
Yes, if you have not been or seen the Little 500, it is the go ahead. Let's see.
As a spectator, sitting in the stands, the Little 500 is a better race than the Indy 500. The Indy 500 is a better experience, though.
You can definitely see everything. The Little 500 is chaos, insanity, and carnage, kind of everywhere you look. They do hot pit stops.
Not only do they do hot pit stops, it's with gravity-fed old-school fuel tanks. Imagine the big fires you saw in the 80s in IndyCar. That's what you get at the Little 500. But when I went, we did not get a fuel fire. Instead, the barbecue pit they had in the infield for the entire duration of the race, that caught fire. Just no walls separating the barbecue pit from the track. There's just a barbecue pit that pit crew members can walk up to and grab some ribs during the race. It is the most middle-of-nowhere redneck race I've ever seen.
Push trucks out on the racing surface under green flag conditions.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. Back to green, working lap number 26 here, and we have Derek Love battling with Wayne Hutchison. Let's look a little bit further back in the pack here. I think that's going to be J.W. Miller. Yes, it is. J.W. Miller inside of Ezekiel Reyes off of turn number 2. This is one of the things that I love about calling these Silver Crown races as well, Patrick. You're going to get great battles throughout the field. Slide a little bit forward, Ian Lane working his way around Garrett Hess. It just seems like there's fights everywhere you look. Somebody is going to be too wide.
Oh yeah, and even at the back of the pack, just because there's drivers sitting there in 20th position doesn't mean they suck. These are 21 of the best oval guys on iRacing. If you put that guy in 21st into the bottom split, he's going to win the race. You put him in a normal C-Fix, just regular truck series race on iRacing, he'll probably win that too. It's just, these are the best guys on the service, so it's a pleasure to watch these guys race.
Yeah, and if you want to get a good look at them, check out Tuesday nights, the Sprint Car Cup. Similar to these things, but they weigh about, 300 pounds less, make more horsepower out of 410 cubic inch V8s. And the car just wants to snap right on any straightaway longer than 3 and change seconds.
It wants to snap right anytime you even look at the gas pedal. It wants to snap right, it wants to snap left, it just wants to kill you. And the craziest thing to me about the sprint cars is at my last job when I was building engines, we had a sprint car engine come in, and I always assumed 410 cubic inches, these are big blocks. No, they run a small block Chevy. It's a 400 small block that's bored 60 over to get 410. And the fact that these things hold themselves together for the duration of a race, let alone a season, is incredible to me.
Yep, looking forward to the USAC Eastern Storm coming out here to the eastern parts of Pennsylvania in the early part of June. Wingless sprint cars at Grandview Speedway are some of the best racing you will ever see.
Wingless sprint cars anywhere are great racing. Winged cars are cool. They go really fast. They race okay. Wingless cars are insane. Just, there's no other word to describe it. They're a little bit heavier because the cojones underneath all the drivers weigh about 100 pounds of pure tungsten. But they're wicked.
Yeah, you watch them at a place like Grandview, and they're sideways to enter turn 1 at the start-finish line. and they're just all the way, full slide, all the way through the corner. They're incredible. Speaking of incredible, this battle has been going on for multiple laps now. Mike Barry, Jason Steinhurst are the two that are side by side here. Oh man, almost a little bit of contact there with Stephen C. Thompson. Oh, 3 wide through the middle of turn number 3. Almost made it 4 with Jason Steinhurst.
Yet the Teriyaki Boys think they invented drifting when they made the song for that movie in like 2002. No, the midget guys and sprint car guys had that thing figured out in the 1950s. Sprint cars are incredible.
Turn right to go left.
Yeah, pretty much.
So now this is Wes Shire, the number 11 up on the outside. The Homestead Coffee Roasters, number 11 entry. Now that these guys know this race is broadcast, by the way, I'm pretty sure most of them are going to show up with different paint schemes next week, so they'll screw us up entirely on that one.
Oh, that's half the fun, though. You get special schemes each week.
Yes. Week in and week out, it feels like. At the head of the field, still Thomas Lewandowski. 1.2 seconds over Derek Love. Josh Batista holding on to third. He's in full fuel management mode. Let's slide up here and pick up Batista. He is going to stay in the draft. That's how he's going to buy himself that half gallon of fuel that he needs. But it sort of makes life difficult on everybody else because Wayne Hutchison, he's never known as the guy that's going to make the crazy move. But for James Watson, Ian Lane, if they don't have that information, you could end up sitting back there thinking, okay, I'll make my move a little bit later in the race, when you realize a little bit later is never going to come.
Yeah, and Batista's not in this to win it. He's in it just to hold enough fuel out and maybe finish in the top 5. Yeah, he is in damage control mode, so he is really just holding these guys up for no reason. Not for no reason, but for his own personal gain.
That's exactly it. Sit at 3/4 throttle and you will save a little bit of fuel. Now that's one of the big differences between some of the open wheel cars that we normally show and these guys. It's still a 358 cubic inch motor that drinks methanol like it's its job.
Oh no. 358 cubic inch, you're saying that like that's a huge engine. That's the same size engine they use in NASCAR. And I don't want to say they're terribly fuel efficient. They get about 3-4 miles per gallon.
Correct. Trying to save that half gallon though. That's where that gets tricky. Oh man. Almost making contact with the 9 of Brian Elmore.
Over the course of a race though, I absolutely think you could save half a gallon, especially if you're going into it from lap 0. You grid up and go,
oh, Bautista's in the wall!
He might not need to save that half gallon.
Nope, Bautista got the push off at turn number 4, slides the car up into the outside safer barrier. And now I would have to say there's a little bit of game on here because now nobody's trying to save. Derek Love is very quick and, quite frankly, one of the best on the platform, over 7,000 I rating. He's going to be a tough guy to pass.
It's always fun racing Derek Love. Even when we get, when I do the After Dark stuff with him and we have some weird combo that makes no sense and I'm just a hair faster than him, he's almost impossible to pass. And it's not because he's dirty, it's just because he's that good. Where he can be slower than you and just make your life hell trying to get by him. He's like the Ryan Newman if Ryan Newman had more talent.
Wow. Ryan Newman, I believe, a Triple Crown winner in USAC.
He might be, but I don't see any NASCAR champion rings on his fingers.
I would say it's harder to win a USAC Triple Crown, quite frankly.
I will say, I don't want to throw too much shade at Ryan Newman. He does race slot cars, which is pretty cool.
Let's see. Ryan Newman was the 1999 champion of the USAC Silver Crown Series. He was not a Sprint Car Series champion, however, so no Triple Crown for Ryan Newman.
I believe he does hold the record for most flips in a single NASCAR season.
Yes. And quite frankly, we're down to 22 to go here, but talking about the list of champions that have won a Silver Crown Series championship. AJ Foyt, Al Unser, Mario Andretti, Larry Rice, Ken Schrader, Gary Bettenhausen, Jack Hewitt, Steve Butler, Jeff Gordon won the championship in 1991. Tony Stewart has a championship, Dave Darland, the late, great Jason Leffler, Dave Steele, Levi Jones, and obviously Cody Swanson has, well, just a ton of them. But this series is, quite frankly, probably the truest test of an oval driver remaining. You have to be able to run the dirt miles, the dirt short tracks, paved short tracks, and some of the larger paved ovals.
And there's no driver aids, there's no independent rear suspension. It's just you, an engine, a clutch maybe, then a gas pedal and a brake. Maybe a steering wheel too. You can afford that. But these things are as raw as they come. These things are fantastic.
Derek Love trying to hold off Ian Lane. Wayne Hutchison way up on the outside of the racetrack. Lane's going to be down to the inside. He'll clear Love through 1 and 2. James Watson not able to slide down to the inside, but he's going to stay there down the back straightaway. Try to get the run into 3. Not going to happen.
And you can see how that high line is starting to come in. Derek Love not able to make the move on the inside and then loses the run going down the straightaway because of the lack of speed going around the low side. So this track it's really fun in these cars. I hate this track and literally everything else, but these cars make this track enjoyable.
Big news for this season out of the USAC headquarters in Speedway, Indiana. Any driver that can claim the Triple Crown in one season, which is going to be tough because you're going to have to beat Cody Swanson in the Silver Crowns, will claim a $300,000 bonus. Nobody claims it in 23. It's 24. It rolls to $400,000. And if it continues to go unclaimed, it will roll over up to $500,000 in 2025.
Which, for a lot of these USAC drivers, almost none of them are fully professional, sponsored for the full season guys. So that is building a whole race program for them, giving them an actual hauler, maybe a backup car. That is incredible. And if anyone can go out and do it, you'll probably see him at the top level of motorsport.
I would put my money on Chris Windom. Has a prior Silver Crown Series championship. Really good in the sprint cars, and then obviously a talent in the midgets as well. I think that's probably the guy with the best shot at it because he also has the full season ride in the Silver Crown car. So that would kind of be my hunch. We'll see what Wyndham's able to do this season. We'll see what these guys are able to do over the last 15 laps or so. The battling has allowed Thomas Lewandowski to check out by 3.6 seconds over Ian Lane. That's the green car you see at the front of this line. Derek Love, little kiss to the outside wall. That was barely a kiss.
He's just making a little love to it.
Almost some right side romance, if you will. Let's take a look. Get up the... Oh, we are under caution. Trouble out on the racetrack. And it looks like it may be trouble for Brett Edwards. Let's take a look. Oh, my goodness, yeah. Get this one up. Cue up the replay. Here's your Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. This was a kerfluffle off of turn 4.
Oh man, flying through the air. That's pretty much exactly what I saw when I went down to Lucas Oil Raceway Park.
3 cars airborne together. We'll back this one up and count how many race cars we can see from the flying onboards here. Unfortunately, it looks like Edwards maybe just kind of caught out a little bit in a deal that was not of his making.
I just want to say that's how all of the wrecks look from the Silver Crowns, because you can't see very much from them and you have no rear view mirror, so sometimes you'll just move up half a lane, think you're clear, kind of feel your way up, and all of a sudden you're in the wall and spun around backwards flying through the air, and you see another car flying through the air and going, ah, crap, there was a car there, wasn't there?
Stephen C. Thompson is also on the pit lane along with Steve Costley. Laura Gerhardt on pit lane as well for an extended period of time. How about this one, though, Patrick? Josh Batista staying out on the racetrack. He has not made a pit stop yet and continues to run inside the top 10. Obviously, like you said, that car not worrying about fuel consumption as much now. And he's kind of in line for a pretty decent finish here as we're going to go back to green with 10, maybe 9 laps to go.
Yeah, he was obviously in damage control for the entire race, and now it's go time. If he saved enough fuel, maybe he wasn't banking on this caution, but this caution is here now and he's got the extra fuel. Might as well go for it.
Yeah, I think it's a great call. Seeing James Watson getting way down to the inside of the racetrack. He's doing some tire cooling. At least I would think so. Let's see. Let's see if we can talk to Mr. Watson here. And James, see you all the way down there on the apron. Is that tire cooling, or did you not put enough fuel in it?
Oh, no, I got fuel. I've still got another 14 gallons left.
So the fuel is good. How's the car handling?
Pretty good. A lot better than I was expecting. Homestead has always been a bit of a bugaboo for me. The setup I made for us the last time we were here was awful, but this one is marginally better, at least, competitive at least, which is all I was hoping for, really.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck the rest of the way here, and hopefully we're talking to you in another 10 laps or so.
Here's open.
So there you go. There's James Watson. The testing did not go as well as he might have hoped here in practice. Some pictures going up in the TNT Discord of the Watt Spin Mobile upside down and on fire at various points during practice.
Those are some good shots.
So let's run through your race summary here as we work under the second caution. 1 leader, no lead changes. It has been all Thomas Lewandowski out front, so that means he will have claimed 6 bonus points before this race is even completed. 3 for leading the most laps, 3 for claiming the pole position here tonight. 2 cautions for a total of 9 laps thus far. It'll be 10 when they come back across the start-finish line to take the green. Lewandowski does have the fastest lap of the race, 30.733 seconds, 173.230 miles per hour. Ian Lane has had a great run tonight. Bring up the spotlight box on him. He started in the 12th position, now running second with a best lap of 30.8, not that far off of Lewandowski's best lap. And we can't ignore the guy that's currently in third. That's Derek Love. He's been towards the front almost the entire night. He's going to be one to keep an eye on as well as the green flag goes back in the air. What the hell? Let's give you a shot here into one. Go ahead and crank it up. These cars just absolutely sound mean off the corners, man. Maybe a little bit of trouble here for Josh Batista. Yeah, he was up into the wall once again.
Yeah, he climbed the wall, got 2 tires up on the catch fence. The other 2 were on the safety barrier, and he's got it on all 4s now.
Battle for the lead into 3. First time all race. Lewandowski's been challenged, and it's going to be Ian Lane looking down onto the inside. He has to tuck back up in line. Get you the side-by-side here because we got another good battle just back behind. That's going to be James Watson and Wayne Hutchinson.
Lewandowski absolutely rocketed away on the restart, but he's got some competition now.
Yeah, these guys are really able to keep up well. Keeping it about 2 car lengths that time by the start-finish line with now 6 laps remaining here at Homestead-Miami. I want to remind everybody, this is week number 1 on the iRacing calendar, which means it's the full kickoff of our excitement extravaganza. Tonight, it's Silver Crowns. No racing tomorrow or Wednesday night, though, of all things. The Sim Racers Club is off on Wednesday as well. Thursday, it will be a doubleheader of doubleheaders. Starting at either 3 or 4 p.m. in the East. We'll post the videos up here shortly. You'll be able to see them on our YouTube channel. Starting with the Lotus 49s in the Grand Prix Legends series, followed by the classic Lotus GP series for the Lotus 79s. We're going to watch those 2 races, bring them to you back to back. And then on Friday, it is the Camel GT Happy Hour. Talking real world racing of a whole lot of that show, as well as the just fantastic cars, the Nissan GTP and the Audi 90 of the Camel GT series as well. Multi-class racing coming to NRN. Don't want to miss any of that here coming up this week. Oh, man. Wow. Hold on to it. Watson almost making contact with Hutchinson. He's going to get down to the inside. Gets the pass cleared.
Hutchinson's going to fight back and dive to the inside.
Nice crossover move by Wayne Hutchinson. Man, Watson is just so quick off that corner, though. Now the battle for second heating up as well. Derek Love inside of Ian Lane. And any kind of a mistake here at the front is going to make this Watson versus Hutchinson battle a fight for the podium. Down to 2 to go. Lewandowski is absolutely loving seeing Derek Love and Ian Lane side by side. Gave Love a little bit of drafting help down the straightaway, able to, doesn't really help Love all that much though. Man, he slides just a little bit high off the corner. White flag is out, 1 lap to go here at Homestead. Battles throughout the field. Love going to get clear of Lane. Now not clear, but ahead off of turn 2. Lane's going to win the drag race to turn 3. Lewandowski unchallenged off of turn number 4. Twin checkers in the air. Thomas Lewandowski wins at Homestead. Ian Lane nips Derek Love by 4 1/1000ths of a second for second.
That was tight.
Okay, we can do more of this. Let's take a look here, see which camera angle we like. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. Let's show you this one here in slow-mo. The battle for second down to the line. All right. Oops.
Oh man, just keeps
There it
the run
is.
on the outside.
So, there you go. A fantastic race here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's show you your race results here this evening. Thomas Lewandowski picking up the win over Ian Lane by 0.4 of a second. Derek Love, you see it there, only 4 1/1000ths of a second back in third. Wayne Hutchison holds on for fourth, followed by James Watson, Garrett Hess, J.W. Miller, Ben Carswell, Jason Steinhurst, and Wes Shire rounding out your top 10. 11 through 20 will be Ezekiel Reyes, Mike Barry, Josh Batista, Jeffrey Stanton, Stephen C. Thompson, Brett Edwards, Brian Elmore, Laura Gerhart, Steve Costley, Zach Nernberger. Rounding out the field, Brandon Buchberger and Jay Dorr. Race that took, oh, well, I don't have the clock running anymore, so I can't tell you how long the race took. But didn't take very long at all here. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Our guys are good here, man. Let's take a look. And let's find our race winner tonight here. Get him up into the booth. Mr. Thomas Lewandowski. And, man, I'll tell you what, Thomas, the car was really a rocket ship tonight. Talk us through your night here, because the car was really good and really up until the end unchallenged out front as well.
Yeah, I got a really great set here. I haven't touched it in probably a year or so, and yeah, it's just a missile there. At the end, of course, we get that late caution, and with all the tires cooling off and stuff, it's it scared me a little bit there. But once they got back up to temperature and stuff, I was pulling away, and then Derek and started racing there with Ian. So I kind of played, giving Derek some draft to help him stay side by side there, to help me get through the last few laps, unchallenged.
This place is always interesting, especially when the track gets as hot as it does. How hard is it to, I mean, you made mention of the fact that you feel like the setup is one you haven't had to tweak much on. Do you have to play with it at all, or is this just kind of off the shelf, and does it need any adjustment for the varying weather conditions and such?
I'll add some, I'll tweak the cross a little bit in the race. I'll play with the weight jacker. As the race goes on, the fuel burns off. But generally, the hotter the temperature of the racetrack, I'll go up a click or so on cross. If it's really cool out, you go down. But it's for whatever reason, the setup here has always just been insanely fast, and I'm pretty just have to barely give it any input and let it go. But it's nice when you have a nice hot racetrack, because the times fall off so much more. At the beginning of the race, I was barely lifting, for each end, and then by the end of the race, I was almost all the way out of the throttle.
That's kind of interesting that you say that, because one of the things that we heard in some of the pre-race was how this track specifically it's the theoretically identical, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 ends, but it drives like they're completely different sets of corners.
Yeah, they drive completely different. Like 3 and 4 especially, because on corner exit you can just really get it up higher off the corner, and it just digs up there. You can really let it swing out and get kind of close to the wall. But in 1 and 2, it's the exact opposite. You want to keep it pointed straight off the corner to get any kind of run down the straightaway. So yeah, even though they might be similar on paper, they drive pretty much the exact opposite on each end.
Well, I'll tell you what, you absolutely nailed it tonight, man. Congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, do any sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Just everyone at the drill aisle, and thank you guys for doing these again. I didn't realize this was a thing, but I missed the broadcast. You guys do a great job. So you guys are awesome. So thanks.
Well, hey, we appreciate the kind words, and man, that one was fun. Let's see if we can't bring up our runner-up finisher tonight here, Mr. Ian Lane. And Ian, you were kind of in the middle of a bunch of things at various points here. You had some great battles throughout the course of the race. Talk us through the night, because you were everywhere from back to front, and ultimately one spot short of claiming the big prize.
Yeah, an interesting night. I didn't practice qualifying and loaded a set from a year ago and qualified mid-pack and kind of just rode around for a while and then dodged that big wreck on the front straightaway. I think I came to a complete stop at one point, or very close to it. And I felt like my tires were in good shape for that restart, and I just kind of rode the back of that group that was behind Thomas and waited for something to happen and just kept saving. And I think Josh hit the wall, and it was like, okay, it's go time. And I just went from 6th to 2nd. It wasn't like I flipped the switch and was like, I'm magically faster. It was like, it's time for me to push. And if there's another yellow, I want to be in position. I want to be in 2nd. And that's the best I could do, unfortunately, but that's pretty good for starting where I started.
Yeah, that was, and the battle with Derek there late. I mean, he is one of the best in these cars, and you really got to put on a show with him there. Not claiming second by much, but it was just enough. Talk us through that battle over the last couple of laps, because it seemed like both of you guys were starting to develop a little bit of a push off of 4.
Yeah, I was super tight behind Thomas on that restart. I thought I maybe had a shot at him. I put one look at him, and I was going to wreck us both if I stayed in it the one time I dipped my nose under him. So it was just, it was survival for 2nd or 3rd. It was going to be close, and I was so tight in the last lap. I couldn't believe how high I was off of 1 and 2, and somehow kept my momentum up to even keep him from clearing me. So, yeah, I think it's just a lot of passing for me, and couldn't really save as much as I needed to, but I'm happy with 2nd.
Well, it was a great show you put on for us tonight. Thank you very much. And before we let you go, make sure you get all your sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Well, thanks to you guys. I didn't know there was a broadcast. I used to run the schedule for the series a long time ago, and somebody made me aware there's a broadcast. That's very cool. And thanks to everybody that still runs the series. I've known these names that have been in the series for like 6 or 7 years. I'm just not very active. So, yeah, it's always a great time to show up and race these cars. So I should probably do it more.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much, and hopefully we do get to see you more this season. Let's check in now with our 3rd place finisher, Mr. Derek Love, and just seeing the replay of you guys coming across the start-finish line about 1.5 inches, maybe 4/1000ths of a second. But, man, that was a great battle that you and Ian had there late in that race.
It really was, yeah, 0.04. I was chatting with him in the cool-down room. I was like, man, I tried everything to run you up the track. That was only my only chance. And he said he got ran up a little bit 1 and 2, and I thought as much. And then when he got 3 and 4, that high side in 3 and 4 is really what you want. You want the bottom 1 and 2, and you want the high side 3 and 4. So he had just enough to get around me there. That was really fun.
Yeah, there were a couple of great battles that you guys had throughout the course of the night. In fact, you were a little bit further back than we're used to seeing you at times in these cars. Was that just a factor of setup, kind of where everybody placed themselves out? Because obviously the car was quick enough to be contending for a top 2 finishing position.
Yeah, I was telling Thomas, I said, man, I was running practice and ran like a 4, and he comes in there and runs a 3, and I pretty much gave up. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to catch that. My setup was done. I was like, well, I'm not going to mess it. I know there's more time. So, and I just didn't have great qualifying. Like like we saw, and then I actually got loose the first lap, and that put me back, I think, like to ninth or something. Midway through the race, the car actually started to feel really good, and it was feeling really good right then when the big one happened. I don't know how I would have fared if those guys were all still up there. I feel like I might have fallen back a little bit more later in the race, but I'll take what I can get.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations on the podium finish here tonight. Good points run to start the season. And before we let you go, make sure you do all your sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yeah, I got to shout out Streetside Classics, car sponsor, and appreciate seeing you back on here again. Hopefully we can get this community built back up. Always love seeing the broadcast, and it really helps.
Yes, I'm looking forward to calling these races. I love the Silver Crowns, man. These things are so much fun to watch. Derek, thank you very much for coming and checking in with us here. And, man, I'll tell you what, Patrick, let's take a look ahead to the schedule here. Next week, we couldn't be more different, heading off to the Richmond Raceway for an 80-lap feature event. Week 3, how about Michigan International Speedway, 2 miles of big, wide, fast. Then we head off to Irwindale Speedway for a 100-lapper, and then Watkins Glen in week number 5. We're taking the crowns to the road courses again.
Oh, man, this is a road course year? I am so excited. They run the road course only once a year in these things, and it's always so much fun. If you've never done it, you should try it. The biggest thing is the weight jacker, because not like a normal race where you're only hitting it once every 10 laps or so, just set the balance of the car. But you're actively using it to set the car up to go in a right-hand corner, and then immediately hitting the paddle 50 times going to the left to make the thing turn in the left-hand corner again. And whole race, you sound like you should be in a mental hospital, just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The whole race, you're just counting them in your head, and a lot of people say it out loud just to get these things to turn. It's so much fun.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I guess technically they do have a baseline road course setup, but these cars were built for stagger and big ovals. They're not designed to turn right, but they do it every once in a while, and oh my God, is it fun. Can't wait for week number 5. But with that, we're getting out of here. We have got the Fast Masters Monday series. That's going up on iRacing Open, hosted here in just a moment. That will be the Dallara IR01 with its all-new oval package from iRacing Super Speedway. 250-mile-an-hour average lap speeds for those cars at IRSS. It's going to be wild.
It's going to be insane, and even though it's a Monday night, I guarantee you at least half the field is not going to be sober. Could you imagine letting 8 drunk drivers go 250 miles an hour?
It sounds like a great idea.
I think so.
One of the better ideas we've had. With that, we are getting out of here. For Patrick Byrne and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all Thursday afternoon for the Lotus 49s. Oh, I can't wait. Until then, we'll see you later. Have a good night, everybody.